There's a lot at play here in this one, man. Obviously, the Patriots, they're vying for the #1 overall seed in the conference, getting that first round bye. Shouldn't have a problem beating the Dolphins, and we can explore that. But really, the bigger thing on the other side is that Jim Harbaugh has already come out and said, yeah, Justin Herbert's not playing for the Chargers. Who knows who else isn't going to play, and therefore they may get rolled by the Denver Broncos. So that #1 seed option may be off the table anyway. That said, Denver does kind of have a knack for playing down to its competition. Look what we just saw against the Chiefs last week. So do you think the #1 is still in play?
So, guys, I think the #1 seed is somewhat in play, but honestly, I think the #3 seed is closer in play than the #1 seed. Not that I think that'll happen, but if the Patriots were to slip up against the Dolphins, Jaguars win, they would get the 2 seed, Patriots would get the 3 seed. Again, I don't think that's as likely, as the Patriots just winning, but I think it's more likely than the Patriots getting the #1 seed. And this is going to be an interesting balancing act for Mike Vrabel, because the Patriots, and we've talked about this all year on this show, they don't have a ton of depth. So you want to go into the playoffs playing well, but you also want to go in playing not just well, but healthy and rested. So how does he balance them playing this Week 18 game, but also with an eye on that wild card game? Because the last thing you want to do is go into that wild card round with someone hurt or not playing well. So it's going to be an interesting balancing act in my eyes for Mike Vrabel this week. Does he go 60 minutes and just try to beat Miami and worry about everything else after the game? Or does he have an eye on the scoreboard and see, hey, we're up against Miami, we're going to win, and Denver's going to win, so maybe in that second half pull some guys. It's going to be really interesting to see how he manages that.
Listen, I respect and love you and Adam both. I can't talk about any of this nonsense. All I can talk about is this Steph Diggs situation. So listen, I mean, to call it a distraction right now to this team would be an understatement of all understatements. I just want to unleash you here, John. These legal troubles, this drama, everything going on with Steph Diggs, and how it can affect this team not only now, but down the stretch here, potentially in a playoff run. Talk to me. What the hell's going through your head? Because it is panic in mine, sir.
Yeah, a lot of layers to it, and certainly not what I expected to be talking about live for 2.5 hours on EEI yesterday when the story broke. But a lot of layers to it, because what stood out to me as much as anything, Travis, is the statement the Patriots came out with. Because a lot of times in situations like this, a team will come out with a statement. It'll just say, we're gathering more information, we have no further comment, or something along those lines. And for them to come out with a statement that says Diggs categorically denies these allegations, and then the very next sentence, a 3-word sentence that just says, we support Stefon, that really stood out to me. That tells me they think he's innocent, they're standing by him, and they plan on playing him unless they're told not to by the NFL. And of course, maybe something will change. That police report came out after the statement, but I would just think for the Patriots to come out with that statement 20 minutes after the news broke, that makes me think that they knew a lot of this stuff. They believe he's innocent and they're going to play him. And it's one of those things where it's an extremely serious allegation. This is not a traffic ticket. Like, this is the type of thing people go to jail for if he's found guilty. So it's a big deal, obviously, off the field. And then on the field, yeah, this is your second best offensive player if you're the Patriots. It's the one guy opposing defenses have to make sure every week that they game plan for. And it's also a guy that when he chose to come to New England, and I know at that time, he maybe had a couple other offers, but not a lot. He was coming off the injury, but still, he did decide to sign with the Patriots. It was a big money contract, at least in year one. It added some legitimacy to what the Patriots are building. It wasn't just, hey, we gave Milton Williams more money than anyone else, or hey, we paid Robert Spillane, who already knows us, right, or Jack Gibbons, who already knows us. It was, well, this is an all-pro marquee guy that, yeah, we paid a lot of money to, but he still chose to come here with Vrabel, with May, with McDaniels, and up until about 11:30 a.m. yesterday, things had worked out really, really well. So the team statement stood out a lot to me. And also on the field, if he doesn't play, it'll be a huge blow to the Patriots offense. So it's one of those things that it feels like any time now you could get some breaking news that could lean things one way or the other. But certainly a serious situation, one that has a big impact on the organization off the field. But given their statement they came out with, it makes me think that they plan on playing him unless something changes between now and Sunday against Miami.
All right, John, you my man, so I'm not going to let you gloss over that. Let's go two-part question here.
Yeah.
you know, you said, look, if he's not out there, if the league gets involved and this guy can't play moving forward, you know, it changes the offense. I'm going to take it a step further, but I want your thoughts on this. I think the season's over. How's that sound? You're one and done in the playoffs. That's how that's going to go if you don't have this guy. Do you feel the same way, or do you think the offense can still work? Who steps up, if so? And then my second question is really just gut feel here, John. What do you think's going to happen? Is he going to play throughout the playoffs? Like, how's this going to play out in your gut?
So I think they can beat the Chargers in a wild card game without him. And part of that is Justin Herbert's injured. Chargers are becoming a cross country. And yes, that's a very good Chargers defense. I don't think that defense gets enough credit for how good it is. But still, especially with that Herbert injury, I can see them beating the Chargers without him. Now, you go beyond that. Like, you play a Houston Texans team in the divisional round without him, or the Jaguars in the divisional round without him. I'm not saying you can't win, but that's an uphill battle, even if you are at home, because those teams are so good, especially that Houston defense. And my gut feeling, honestly, Travis, is I think you won't see him play against Miami in Week 18, and they'll call it rest or they'll call it whatever, but they're really just still gathering information. And then I think you'll see him out there in the wild card round, unless something drastically changed. And again, I don't know about you guys. I looked at that police report. It was really concerning. There's a lot of bad stuff in there. But I balance that with the statement the team came out with. That tells me the team thinks that the stuff in that police report is not true. And maybe they'll be proven right. Maybe they'll be proven wrong. But you read that police report, and it's serious, and it's the type of thing that you would not want a guy out there with. But for them to come out with that statement, it just makes me think that, yeah, he won't play this weekend against Miami. They'll call it rest. They'll call it whatever. But then come wild card round time, I think he's going to be out there, again, unless something changes with the league or if there's more information from the courthouse that comes out. I don't know. But that's, you asked my gut feeling, that's what it is.
So with the instinctual support of the team, I appreciate how you were able to lay that out. Let's circle back to the matchup this weekend and just kind of how, A, it can impact the team, and B, maybe fuel them differently in a sense, because now you're looking at a potential adversity that could change how you guys attack the postseason and further out than that. So what do we foresee when it comes to taking on a Dolphins team that's been feeling themselves a little bit more lately, but obviously it's always harder to play at Gillette Stadium?
Yeah, and look, the NFL is always about managing distractions, but this isn't your run-of-the-mill distraction. And this is a team in the Patriots. They have a lot of new guys. They have a lot of young guys. And look, a lot of them may handle it very well. But it's not going to surprise me if there's a handful of guys that don't handle it well. And you look at that receiver room, like Kayshon Boutte's still only in his third year. Demario Douglas is in his third year. Kyle Williams is a rookie. Like, these are guys that worked with Diggs all year, that looked up to him. Wouldn't surprise me if one or two of those guys struggles with this news or struggles to work through it. And same with some of the other young players on the team, but especially on the offense, that, you know, some of these guys were watching Stefon Diggs on TV when they were in high school and college, and now they get to play with him. And then so for this to happen again, regardless of the actual end outcome of this, I could see it causing some guys to either lose focus or have some difficulty on Sunday. And I think this game itself, honestly, guys, take Diggs out of it, it comes down to the run game to me. Anyway, Casey, you mentioned it's not always easy for Miami to come to Gillette Stadium, especially this time of year. They have a running back in Devon Achane, fifth in the NFL in rushing yards, but their defense gives up the 25th most yards per carry running the ball. So I think it's going to come down to the Patriots stopping Devon Achane, and we'll see if Milton Williams is back to help with that, and the Patriots being able to run the ball successfully when they're on offense. And I think if those two things happen, I think you see the Patriots win by 10 or 14 points, but they do have to be careful. This is the same Dolphins team that beat a struggling but somewhat talented Bucs team last week and beat the Bills a few weeks back as well.
John obviously highlighted before the element of scoreboard watching, and as I mentioned, New England will be paying attention to what the Broncos are doing against the Chargers. But in terms of the 3 seed, you know, the Jaguars, the Texans, they play during the early window on Saturday. So New England's going to have clarity on what it has to do, how important that win ultimately looks, whether starters should play and for how long, and all of that. Before we let you go, how about a score prediction?
Ooh.
So I think the Patriots win this game in the 28-10 range. Look, all due respect to Quinn Ewers, I just don't see him putting up enough points to beat the Patriots with or without Stefon Diggs. So I like the 28-10, maybe 28-13 if I'm feeling generous type range. But I think that's what you get with the Patriots. So I think they get to the midway point of the fourth quarter, and maybe they don't have to play some of those starters anyway.